next session on Cyber Security, No More Tomorrows by Mr. Sunny Vaghela, founder and CEO, TechDefence. Please put your hands together for Mr. Sunny. Serial entrepreneur working as founder and CEO at TechDefence. With over a decade of expertise, he has carved an indelible mark in the cybersecurity industry. His entrepreneurial journey, starting as a cyber crime consultant with the Ahmedabad crime branch in 2007, has been a saga of solving complex cases, including the cyber trail of major incidents like the Ahmedabad serial bomb blast and the 26/11 Mumbai bombings. Sunny's influence extends to education, having trained over 90,000 students across premier educational institutions in India as CEO at TechDefence. His leadership at TechDefence had transformed the institution into a global cybersecurity partners for enterprises, executing 750 plus InfoSec projects for 400 customers. He is also bestowed with ET Industry Leaders 2021 Award, Indian Ambassador of Cybersecurity Award by Ministry of MSME, and the Times Man of the Year 2018 in Cyber Security category by Times Group. Sunny accolades mirror his commitment to shaping a secure digital future. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Perfect. Yeah. So good morning, all of you. So I come from an offensive security background. So I always believe, or rather my team believes, that no matter how many security controls that you keep in the organizations, right, and how many efforts that the blue team always makes, but there's always one offensive guy finds out one single vulnerability in your system and could actually disrupt your business. So what I'm actually going to talk about in this session is all about the recent hacks. What are the lessons that I learned in the recent hacks? No matter whatever security investments that people are making, but where they actually failed, when the actual attack happened or the incident happened. And then we are actually going to talk about the approach, what we do as an organization with many of the enterprises, and how do we actually use our platform-based approach in order to do cybersecurity assurance and a compliance, the vulnerability management, security operations, and even a governance as a service, and cutting down the, you can say that the investment cost by more than 40% and giving the highest ROI to many of our customers. I would discuss some of the customers' case study as well. One of our customers was supposed to come, but he's actually coming in the second half to confer the awards as well. So if you look at this logos of the companies, who have been attacked, in past almost, couple of years, in almost all these organizations, an offensive guy must have reached out at least once to basically tell them, boss, you have certain vulnerabilities in your systems, and either your WEF is not working, or either your application is vulnerable, or either your database which is not secured or configured properly, which is leading to a data breach or a data leak. But hacker might have not been responded properly, and that's one of the reasons. But the number that you can see right now are the number of users whose the data is right now already available either on a surface web or a dark web or a deep web. So that means people who are the users of this website, the data is already available on the internet. If you look at the financial sector, one of the you can say that the highest, the target for almost all the hackers for gaining, exfiltrating the ransomware, or you can say that getting into the organizations in the financial systems to either transfer the money. And this many number of attacks have been, reported in past almost couple of years. If you look at the, startups, and I have been working with, almost 20 odd unicorn startups out of 108 to 111 unicorns which are there in India. And we have always seen that the moment they close some sort of a round of a funding and do a PR activity, the second day they are a major hit, or you can say that become a major victim of, the cyber attacks. But ultimately, the most important is the data of the users that is always, which is always at a risk. Even if you look at, some of the banks which are hit almost 2-3 years back, and the credit card information and other information was made available by a hacker online on the internet, it was a problem with, the only one particular vendor system which are used by almost all the banks. And all the hacker tried to report one of the bank, the same vulnerability, and then the other banks, they have not been given the right response. And finally, what has, happened, that the hacker has actually hacked, downloaded all the debit card, credit card, and made it available, on the dark web and deep web. One of the recent example, which has just come across from a certain itself, because I'm a part of one of the committee over there, and, one of the guy based out of Pune, second-year engineering guy, reported a problem into one of the, the back office, developer of a stockbroking organization. So stockbroking has their trading systems, their back office, their KYC system, their IPO, and then there are different modules which are developed by a particular company. And that particular company is having one of the right monopolies in the market by having almost, because they are the older in the systems, almost 400 to 500 customers is what they serve. While the SEBI has been circulating a lot of circulars on making the system secure, the guy was like, why don't I find some issue into one of the, the broker's back office? While he discovered that issue, the issue wasn't, existence into one system, but issue wasn't, issue was available, or you can say that was in existence for almost all the stockbrokers, be it a larger broker in India to a small stockbroker in India. And there are almost 489 stockbrokers, were vulnerable, in just one particular day. He actually tried to reach out to a company, right, stating that, can't you please, give me some bounty, because, this is a problem that I've discovered and which is leading to the API exposed, and your APIs are not secured, and, which could actually lead me to the data of almost all the people who are doing trading out of your 489 customers. The guy wasn't responded because the company has its own cybersecurity company itself as a sister concern. They said that, hey, I have my sister company who is doing all the audits, they'll do the audits and they'll revert you back. They didn't find anything. The guy was sending screenshots, and the POCs. Finally, the guy reached out to certain, and then the SEBI, and then the, Ministry of IT, and then even the minister itself. And then the issue has become so much. People who are in the regulatory industry must be knowing about this incident. And even the IT minister or the Union Minister of India of IT has taken this note of this incident and has rewarded a guy with some sort of a bounty. So had it been a case if the company to whom they are reporting, or who they are trying to approach, as a hacker, if that would have been, solved at that instance itself by giving him at least 10,000 to 50,000 to 1 lakh rupees to 2 lakh rupees bounty, I'm sure that the company which is giving this product to 489 customers, they would have not lost the trust of their customers. And that's what the customers are now looking at other different products, because the issue has been taken to the regulators on this part. So this is also one of the major reasons that we have been, or we are observing as a hacker, that a one company monopolizing a certain sector, and that certain sectors or the certain set of customers are using the same sort of a product. We always believe that although we have a data center, it's only the problem with one product, but understand that if there are 10 products which are hosted in your own premises or over the cloud, but in the same sort of an account or, IP ranges, then a one product can actually help, make sure that the vulnerability exploitation on that one product can actually make all the products vulnerable, or either the hacker would get into the heart of your system itself, and that's what we do as a part of a red teaming itself. The another problem is the insider threat. It's always being talked about that the insiders are the best people who are giving the right information to an outsider, and that's how, the largest hack can even take place, across the globe as well. And it is a case of the Bangladesh bank hack. The person has come, to a SWIFT transactional, or you can say that a SWIFT unit, which was responsible for the international transactions. The guy has been connecting to some of the blue-collar people who are working in the bank, to ask them that who are the vendors who are actually giving out the services in this bank or who is a vendor to whom the bank has outsourced the services. The guy has started coming as a trusted vendor to the bank, right? Almost for a one day, if somebody is coming to you and say that, hey, I'm from an IBM, and if IBM is your outsourced partner, you would never ever, going to ask the identity or authenticity of that, person. Rather, physical, the security controls at the gate or, anything can easily be bypassed. And that's what, the guy has done. He has bypassed all the physical controls at the security gate, and then he started coming and sitting in the bank as the person of a trusted vendor, or you can say that a person of the company to whom the IT services has been outsourced or the managed services has been given to them. After a certain point of time, there is always a trust relation which gets built up between the people who are sitting in this bank who are responsible for this SWIFT transactions and the hacker, or you can say that the person deployed by a hacker to get the information on what kind of an OEMs that they are using, what firewalls they have, what is an architecture of the network, are they on, are they having any sort of a MAC binding into the system or not? Is it a separate the network, or is it connected to a main corporate network? By doing all of this, he did all of this information gathering almost in 10, 15 days. And what he did was, he actually found that this is one of the router which is used and it is the only Wi-Fi router which is in the SWIFT unit. Ideally, it should not be allowed, but the bank has that. And this is being used when anybody wants to connect, right, to an internet. And there are certain of the systems which are, there in place, which is having the maker ID, or which are used by the maker of this, the SWIFT system and a checker of the SWIFT system. So why don't I actually replace the router? But he was not having a password of the router. He asked a couple of people in the bank that, hey, can you please help me with this password? Because I've been trying to reach out to my corporate office. I'm not getting the password of this router, and I need to do some maintenance also of this router. Imagine, the relationship was built up in such a way that the internal IT person gave the password, all configurations have been copied, and finally it has been, replicated to another router, and the router was set up by a hacker. While the router was set up, the best part was that there are systems which are having the SMB vulnerabilities, which were existing in the system, and using those, SMB, CVs, or the CVs related to the SMB, the exploits, have been exploited to get into the, the reverse connection on the maker system, checker system, and the guy got the maker ID and the checker ID of the SWIFT unit. Imagine it's an internal part of a system. He, one fine day, 3 days holidays in the bank, he logged into that system, transferred almost $80 million, from that particular Bangladesh bank hack and Bangladesh, and, transferred into some of the other countries where the money has been transferred to casinos. Well, people are already sitting there to cash out the money, after playing some of the poker and other games as well. So if you look at this, hack, no matter you put a number of security controls, but I believe a regular red teaming activities is what I feel is very necessary to make sure that you see a different perspective altogether, right? Rather than we always, try to see a dashboard which gives that these are my incidents and these are my vulnerabilities, right? And if I have all this green picture in both, right, we always try to believe that I am secured and nothing can actually go wrong in the organization itself. The another interesting example of a Cosmos Bank hack, right? Although there are no reports, which says that there is no insider who has been involved in this, but trust me, no such attack or no big attack like this could have taken place without the help of an insider who actually gives an information about that on which IP address the ATM switch is running, whether this ATM switch is only accessible, from inside, and who has actually created a static path so that the ATM switch could have been accessible using a bank's VPN, from an outsider network itself. So imagine a case that it cannot happen in the name of a maintenance that somebody has accessed the switch, from an outside network itself. He found a problem in one of the switch. Now that switch, was having certain of the vulnerabilities, but it can only be exploited if there is a right, the credentials, should have been there in order to, exploit that particular system. Now, the guy cannot have that credentials of the switch, right? So what he did was he sent some patch to the internal team. The internal team did not verify the patch, updated a patch, and the moment the patch was updated, right, the switch was made accessible to a hacker, and the hacker was actually getting a remote connection or a reverse connection to a switch. Instead, what he did, right, to dump all the credit cards or debit cards, right? What he did was he logged into it. He put another switch in Canada and he connected that as a proxy switch and he started recording all the transactions for even 6 months. 6 months, no anomalies were detected in this, whole case. And imagine, there are 16,000 people's debit card, their other information has been copied. But yes, they are all debit cards, right? Now, with the debit cards, you cannot do an online transaction. If you do that, right, the OTP comes on that respective person's phone number, right? So very simple thing, go to Amazon, get this magnetic card writers and, all of these things. You get it easily in 16,000 to 17,000 rupees. He did that. And he has actually physically written all the cards. And there are 16,000 cards are actually being, made by the hacker. अब उसको बेचना भी पड़ेगा तो go to dark web, deep web, create a new website and start selling the card. For each card, he was charging around $20, and for certain of the premium cards, there are RuPay card, there are Visa cards. So for Visa card, he was charging around $25. Imagine a case: 6 months has been invested to get the details of 16,000 cards, but only 7 days are enough to sell all the 16,000 cards through dark web and deep web. Not into the one countries, but there are 40 countries, people out of those 40 countries have placed the orders and he physically delivered all the cards to respective people's, the addresses stating that the PIN number is not available, but a specific time I'll, reactivate all those cards and make sure that I'll give you the PIN number, go to this website, enter your email ID, enter this card number so that I understand that you are the owner of this particular respective, the duplicate card. And I'll make sure that you get an access to the bank system. Now, finally, what happened? The guy has 14th, 15th, and 16th of August. 3 days were holiday in 2019. PIN number reset it to 1234. The switch was connected to the reserve account or the main, Federal Reserve account of the bank. And finally, everybody has been told that go to ATMs and start withdrawing the money. It was the first time the NPCI recorded that a cooperative bank, people are actually withdrawing money from 27 countries, and within 2 hours of the window, it has been, 94 crore rupees has been siphoned off on this. So if you look at the lessons, what we're learning out of this is a very small mistake, right? A very small mistake is, right, who has created that sort of a GRC ticket and giving a static connection to, somebody outsider in the name of a maintenance or to your trusted vendor. And even if that access has been given, is this access being revoked, right? Is this access being taken, by somebody else except that particular trusted vendor? This is also something that you need to understand. So I think it's a combination of, insider threat, then there is a, supply chain attack where your vendor might be compromised and the vendor is actually using all of those VPN and that VPN are actually taken by the hacker to make sure that they access this particular system also. Uber is also one of the prime example, having a lot of investments, bug bounties, and paying, millions of dollars bounties for reporting any sort of a problem. But a very, a small guy, 16-year-old guy sitting in a garage has found that, yes, there are certain of the Uber employees whose ID and passwords are available on dark web and deep web. And trust me, out of close to 70, 80 people who are sitting over here, your password, my passwords, and everybody's password, for last 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, or that combination is already available somewhere on a dark web and deep web. Now, what he did was he targeted certain people who are part of a DevOps team or a DevSecOps team, and he started to, try this password to basically log into one of the Uber system. Now, while he was logging in, in one of the systems, he encountered that almost all systems are, secured by the MFA. Now, the MFA is also one of the security controls that we are keeping. It did a bit of information gathering to connect to a DevOps lead whose ID password was compromised, sent a message on Telegram and even the WhatsApp so that jo pehla message wo dekhe, and told him that, hey, I am from a, security support team. There's something wrong going on. And the problem is that, everybody is getting the MFA request. Until I don't tell you, to approve the request, please do not approve the request, otherwise your account will be compromised. The guy started sending n number of requests to this, guy, the MFA request, and this guy the DevOps guy was denying all the requests, And finally, he actually sent a screenshot stating that, hey, I've solved all the problem on the back end. Now, the only thing is you need to approve the MFA request and make sure to change your password itself, right? And what this guy did, he approved the MFA request, and within the seconds, the guy has actually got, from the internal, certain of the folders, a VPN configurations file. He got the VPN configurations file, he got the credentials of this file, and he got to know that, hey, Uber is using a Slack channel. Yeah, just 5 minutes, yeah. Slack channel to do internal communication. Logged into that user Slack channel. The moment he logged into the user Slack channel, in certain channels, he found, oh, these guys are from a DevOps team. They're exchanging PowerShell scripts with each other, and this PowerShell script can easily connect me to a PIM-PAM solution of this particular organization, and that PIM-PAM can actually help me without any credentials. I can actually log into the AWS account of the user itself. So within 15 minutes, he logged into the Uber account, the AWS, and he actually published a message across all the Slack channel, and at least on the DevOps channel, that Uber has been hacked, and I have the hold on complete AWS accounts of all the Uber users. So if you look at this, a very small, the incident, right, where the person has been targeted and a human has been always been a weakest link in this. Here, one of the nuclear power plant attack, if you look at this, their AD has been compromised, Mimikatz has been, implanted to basically do a memory dump of all the servers, and that's how the administrator access of the AD has been obtained, but this has only happened because the VPN access or the VPN credentials were available on a dark web and deep web on that. If you look at, another pharma attack, it was again, the same thing, that certain of the VPN has been, the credentials were leaked out on this, right? Again, here in this case, hacker got an access to, again, the VPN network, right? Even the ships are vulnerable. Now, this is one of the interesting things that we have carried out. We did a red team assessment for one of the company, in India, where they are largest maritime company, own around, 98 vessels. And when they, the objective of a red teaming is, right, we have this corporate office, we have this other office. I mean, the one office maintains our IT operation, other office maintain our security operations for a vessel. Now, gone are the days the vessels are not connected to the internet. Now, every vessels across the globe, everywhere, wherever they are in the world, they're connected to an internet. Again, the problem that we have discovered, that a company is monopolized, by giving one of the box, which could actually connect a vessel or make the vessel very smarter, in the sea itself, right? Now, that is a box which was connecting or helping a vessel to connect to an internet. And imagine a case where we were able to, not target that company, but rather we actually, put a request to that company who was giving this kind of infinity box to a lot of maritime companies across the globe, that we wanted to do a POC on this. Can you help us do a POC? They did the POC. We portray as we are also from one of the maritime company that's in Gujarat Maritime Board and all of that, stuff that we have told. The guy did the POC, and while doing the POC, I asked my people that can we please try to, see if we are able to find out any sort of a problem in this kind of a box or not. We were able to find a problem. The same problem was existing across not only one vessels, but a lot of other, the companies who own vessel and get into the maritime industry, and we could able to, hack almost all maritime companies across the globe itself. So that's also supply chain attack. So what's the problem is? The problem is that we always try to make a network very complex, IT infrastructure very complex, put a lot of security controls to make sure that, oh yes, we are completely secure, but there is always a one vulnerability, there is always a one user, in the cybersecurity which actually put your organization at a risk. And that's the trend in the cybersecurity is changing. Gone are the days I target applications or OS or network or things, because I come from an era where I hacked Orkut. I did a lot of things to hack into Orkut, but now if I really want to hack into Orkut, I would actually try, or Facebook, I would try to hack somebody who is sitting in your organization. So human is always being targeted, and that's why the second reason is the knowledge and the skill set which is required to become hacker is decreasing day by day, right? Now coming back to this, so what we do, so these are some of the reasons why hackers succeed. I just need 2 minutes here. I'll finish it. Yeah. Why hackers succeed? So there are security controls which are in place, right? There are SIM which is in place, SOAR which is in place, everything is in place, but either they are not configured properly, either the playbooks are not created properly, either the playbooks are created but not being responded properly, Either you have a security policies, but it is only put on the paper. Either you have an IR policy, but they are there on the paper, but the real-time implementation of all of this is not happening. And even if this is happening, we always say that the attackers are always working in the group, right? And the defenders are always working in the silos, right? People always talk about, and we always try to make our customer mindset change, that they always say that there's a conflict of interest, Sunny. You can't run my SOC, you can't do my VAPT together, you can't run my GRC, and you can't actually operate everything in one single thing. But we always say that, sir, कि attacker जब बैठा है, they are sitting in group, right? They understand, they coordinate each other, that, hey, I found a vulnerability into this particular system. Now, please, you try to do an OSINT and find out how many systems are vulnerable into it, right? The other person's job is to find out number of systems and the impact of this incident, or what impact they can actually cause if the vulnerability is exploited. And the third person exploit it, and the fourth person does the data exfiltration and do almost all tactics of the MITRE attack framework, right? But why can't we do it? And that is one of the reasons what we have been telling, organizations to whom we are serving. They were initially having the team of their own. Like one of the company, I can name it as a Zensa Technologies. They were having their in-house security team, but now we were actually able to convince them, rather than having an in-house team, make sure that almost all the pillars of the cybersecurity could have been outsourced and could have been managed in a very simple way. Coming back to, these are the people who are required for, effective security management. But what we generally do with almost all organizations is that we act as an MSSP, but not, when we talk about MSSP, we always talk about only one thing, and that is a SOC. Now, we don't do only SOC, but what we have designed is we have designed a custom program, which is now being used by almost 40 to 50% of the manufacturing organizations in Gujarat. There are 127 odd cooperative banks, NBFCs, they are using such sort of a custom program. There are 160 odd brokers, they have taken, such sort of a program, so that we make sure that we do everything of the cybersecurity on a shared model, cut down your cost, make sure that we bringing licenses to do almost all the 1 piece and 2 piece or 10 piece in the cybersecurity in your organization, and you get it as a service itself. So what we do in this assurance and compliance program, we basically make sure that we start with maturity of your organization, create a whole roadmap, execute the whole roadmap, create IR plans, have a calendar for, the breach attack simulation, phishing simulations, ransomware simulation, set up the whole risk assessment framework in the organizations, ensure that we do this not only for IT, but we do this for OT, and we have those customers, larger customers having $3 billion, $4 billion revenue also, those who are actually getting our services done. Create a vulnerability management program for you and execute as per the whole calendar. Let me tell you, we are one of the leaders in the vulnerability management space. While we do that, or while we say that, most of the largest conglomerates in India, they're depending on us on vulnerability management, because the team that we have, almost all team members, they are having certifications of CH or OSCP or other things. But rather than certification, we have a mandate, right? Every quarter, they have to report at least 5 to 6 vulnerabilities into Fortune 100 to 500 websites, either on HackerOne, either on Bugcrowd, either on, the Cobalt, or either on Cynek. So almost all my people have been, helping us, till now in last almost 5 to 6 years. We got 200 plus Hall of Fames till now. There are 30 odd CVs, which are now 40 odd CVs, which are in our name. When I say CVs, that means we reported a 0-day problem to a certain of, the systems, right? There are 120 plus security advisories is what we have published. We bring in a SOC also as a third pillar to our program, and we basically ensure that we are already working with some of the larger players, which is QRadar, which is Securonics, which is Secure. Depending upon the customer budget, we ensure that we get this SOC component into this picture. And also we make sure that we give add-on service, which is like a brand monitoring, dark web, deep web monitoring as a part of these things, right? And the forensics is also part of an exercise. And what we do is we deploy, kind of resources to basically manage and govern, so that being a CISO, being a head of cybersecurity, your job is to do only assurance, and we make sure on the execution on overall of this program. Let me showcase, how many customers is what we are serving. This is just a journey of ours. Now, this is the customers we are serving. There are 400 odd customers. Since 2017, let me tell you, we are almost growing at 100% growth year on year. And this year, our DRHP filing is almost in the process now. It's up to the exchanges to give us approval for listing as the second or third cybersecurity company or a service company or an MSSP in India. And we are soon listing on those lines, right? But one of the example I always give it, because my customer was supposed to come, the CISO is supposed to come, he's coming in the second half to give the awards as well, is almost all the BUs of Adani, be it their vulnerability management or handling the GRC, requirement, or making sure on, giving the right resources as a managed resources for managing their SOC, is everything is done by, us. We got a lot of customers who are from a manufacturing industry. We got unicorn startups, as I said. We got brokers and everything. But when I started back in Ahmedabad, in 2017, before 2017, I was completely into training, right? When I started in 17, from 17 to 18, I found a lot of challenges, finding the right resources, right? Like the other panelists, who were saying training, right? You have to start getting those talent ready, right? And getting cybersecurity talent is not a child's play, right? So with my training experience of 2008 to 2017, what I did was, I actually, retained my team from 17, 18, and 19, right? Those who are in the training vertical for almost 10 years associated with me. We created a curriculum of more than 1,200 hours of, cybersecurity, divided into around 22 different subjects of cybersecurity, and we started reaching out to universities. The first university was Gujarat University, joined hands with us. And being it's a state university, we got right approvals from AICT, UGC for our programs, and we started our BSc, MSc, BTech, MTech in cybersecurity. That was the first in Gujarat. Then we had, for certain time, association with NFSU, which is National Forensic Science University in Gujarat. But because they become central, they didn't have an outsourcing concept now. Now, Gujarat, we have around 7 universities, and in Maharashtra, Symbiosis International University in Lavale campus in Pune. In total, we have a strength of around 6,980 students who are doing their BTech and MTech in cybersecurity out of Gujarat and Maharashtra. And trust me, we never underestimate even the freshers, because when I started in my life in 2008 and intercepted the communications of people or the terrorists who were doing the attacks in 26/11, I was hardly 21-year-old guy, right? So I never, you can say that underestimate the power of those freshers or power of those, the things. And right now, after almost 3, 4, 5 years of this program, what we are running in all this university, trust me, there are students who are coming out in their second year or third year as an OSCP, which is one of the highest offensive security certifications, OSWP. They are OEM, doing a lot of OEM certifications. In the last year itself, they are doing ISO 27001 LA, LI. As a part of their BTech, we incorporated all of the certification with a lot of OEM association itself, and that's what it's making us different, and that's what is always, one of a local conglomerate, obviously the global conglomerate, but we are, there in the same city, is always getting a support from us to get a lot of resources on us. And that's why, while we were talking with a company, which is a Zensar, they said that, hey, Sunny, I have this many number of people in cybersecurity in-house team, and I want to grow that team. I said, sir, आप 15 लोग कर लोगे, 20 लोग कर लोगे. What if I can provide you around 30 resources who can actually manage the complete show, right? And he said that, but I have a budget constraint on that. But with this university association, what we are trying to do is, we're trying to make sure that the budgets are, the same budgets, you can actually get more number of people, right? Obviously, it is led by the experienced people, which are L2, L3, and, the manager level people itself. But there are relevant resources that we keep more to ensure that, whatever components I talk about in the program, we manage it so effectively on this lines, right? There are some of the awards is what we have got, and this is just, a small media coverage of what we are doing in this, right? We are soon listing, so obviously being in cybersecurity, I would always invite you as one of my budding investors in next another 2 to 3 months when our company is getting listed on the different platforms. Thank you, thanks a lot, yeah.
I would like to call upon stage Mr. Sandesh Raut, CISO at Larsen & Toubro, to do the honors.